Honorable Speaker, thanks for giving me the floor. Speaker, before going into the whole portion of debate, I would like to rebut on some of the issues that was brought by the opposition. And first of all, the points that they had brought up. They said they wouldn't like benefiting the society as a whole, or they would rather prefer benefiting individual persons of the society. They spoke that there are alternatives of the proposal that we are actually going to take. They said spoke about free vaccination and how it would actually lead to a happier society, which seemed pretty relevant. And before going to that, I would like to rebut on some of the trivial points and illogical points that they had brought up. First of all, they had spoken about every parent having a right over child's body, which seemed pretty illogical. First of all, the thing is that a parent doesn't have a right over his or her child's body. A parent has a duty over his or her child's body. For example, in US law states that a parent cannot mistreat his or her child's body, or cannot inject any kind of drug, or cannot experiment any sort like that. So that actually clearly states that a parent doesn't have any sort of right, but rather has a duty over the child's body. Then going to their second point, that they had said that mother having all the medical records and would be a better decision maker rather than the doctors, which I would like to rebut very strongly, because first of all, a doctor would be more medically knowledge, right? Second of all, a state always holds all the medical records in a developed country, and even in undeveloped countries where the doctor that actually treating a patient has all the medical records as well, and he has a better decision making capacity than the mother itself. So that point also is nullified in that sense. Third of all, they spoke about the parents not knowing what is being injected in their child's body, and in that sense, I would like to say that vaccines are common things, and the vaccines are actually informed things that are happening, and in that would actually the informed things wouldn't actually be something that is alien thing being injected in the body. That point is also very irrelevant in this case. And they actually question the role of doctors, saying that our proposal would actually question the role of doctors. They said the role of doctors is consultants and all. So, by throughout my speech, I said I would like to prove that they actually mischaracterize the role of doctors. Before going there, I would like to bring out our case and standpoints. First of all, we had mainly three standpoints. The standpoints were child's interest and the state's interest outweighing the parents' right to refuse treatment. Second of all, it was doctor's obligation to doctorhood and the state doctor's obligation to the state. Thirdly, stakeholder capacity comparative analysis, that of the parents and that of the doctor. Before going, I would like to give a logic on one of our points that would actually nullify one of the main points. They spoke about demeaning of values. They spoke about how actually a child being given a vaccine would actually saying that we control his body, and that would actually demean his values. I would like to prove that if he's not taking the vaccine, if a parent doesn't allow his child to take a vaccine, he would be demeaned more. How so? First of all, the people around him or the people in the society would actually know that he is a child who has not taken the vaccination. So whenever he goes out to play or any sort of thing, social convention that he attends, people would know that he has not taken any sort of vaccination. So that would actually lead to him being kind of socially boycotted. And we know there are various schools and institutions which does not take any kind of unvaccinated children. So in that case, the child would be even deprived of the right of education, even some important rights in some case, and he would grow up in such a mentality that for his parents' decision he would actually be penalized on his health, and he would also be penalized on the basis of his moral value. He would also be penalized on the basis of his social rights that he enjoys. So in this case, it actually crisscrosses everything that he actually has. So the point actually gets nullified through this. So now going to my point about doctor's obligation to doctorhood and state. I said, what is a doctor? Doctor is a person who passes from med school, and he actually holds the agenda, or he actually holds some duties towards the state. First of all, his duty is actually create a healthier society, and his duty is actually to stop any sort of epidemic to rise up. For example, if an epidemic rises in a doctor's area, it would be his responsibility fully. So in that case, if there is a person who is infected by, let's say, measles, and if he is not taking the vaccination, so in that case, what would happen is that he would harm the whole society. And as a doctor, I couldn't allow him to actually pollute the whole society, or in some case infect the whole society. So that would actually I would have the right over him, because in saying that the state gives me the right to stop any sort of epidemic in the state, in that area of mine. So actually that would not be any sort of illegal thing. The second thing I would like to put out that doctor's obligation to state, and before going that doctor's obligation doctorhood, they were talking continuously about doctor's role, about being a consultant, and doctors shouldn't have the decision making capacity, and they are incompetent to taking the decision rather than the parents itself. I would like to say that doctors are persons who have passed med school, they have a huge medical knowledge ahead of them, and they would actually in the right sense wouldn't do anything that would harm the children by any sort, because he knows what's at stake of him. So now with that, I'm going to link it up with the stakeholder comparative analysis. What is in the stake of a doctor? Doctor has on his stake his medical license. He knows if he does any sort of mistake, his license will be forged. He can't practice the profession that gives him his bread. So second and thing is that what is in the stake of the parents? The parent is emotionally driven, and she or she has a lot of prejudice with him. So for his prejudice would blind him about the good things about his child. So in that case, what is in stake of the parent about the prejudice actually outweighs the stake of it does not outweigh the stake of the doctor, who has a lot at stake and wouldn't willingly in his right sense wouldn't do anything that would harm the child by any sort. Now coming to some of the now analyzing the whole thing on the perspective of comparing their speech with our speech, they spoke about some trivial issues. They said that doctors would actually go out and sterilize people in a large scale, and vasectomies will happen throughout the whole his area. I felt that was a very relevant thing to the debate, because first of all, doctors are not insane, right? Doctors have a whole lot experience with them. Doctors have a lot of thing at stake, so they wouldn't do something such illogical with that. And they also spoke about free vaccination. They spoke about happy society. I want to go to the point that they spoke about free vaccination and raising awareness. We are talking about the people who are not wanting to take the vaccination. So in that case, our raising awareness would not be any sort of benefit, because that person is determined not to take the vaccine itself. And then they spoke about happy society, that the child would be happy. He shows that the state is not holding any sort of right over his body. But let me be clear, if a state does not do that, he would be boycotted in the society, as I said before, and he would be deprived of all sorts of rights to that he enjoys in the society as a child, and he would grow up in under a mental pressure. So going to that, the stakeholder analysis, that comparative analysis that you try to bring, parent versus doctor. Parent emotionally driven, parent prejudice, a parent not knowing properly what is right for the child, a parent who's actually very superstitious, versus doctor. What is a doctor? Has a lot of medical experience ahead of him. He knows what he's doing. A doctor is not a person who is insane. So considering the whole thing, we believe that our points actually stand very strongly against their point, and the logic is completely nullified by my whole rebuttal. I would like to end my speech here. Thank you all.